She lies there afterward, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is all there is. You roll over, satisfied with your performance, completely unaware that you've just delivered exactly what she expected and dreaded. Another mechanical encounter, another missed opportunity for connection, another confirmation that you don't understand the game she's actually playing. You think you know what she wants because she moans at the right moments, because she seems satisfied, because she never complains. But what you're witnessing isn't authentic desire, it's expert performance management. She's learned to make you feel successful, while her real needs remain buried beneath layers of unspoken expectations and societal conditioning. Tonight, I'm going to expose the most carefully guarded secrets of female sexuality. The thing she desperately wants, but will never ask for. The desires she's hidden so deep that even she might not consciously recognize them. Because understanding these secrets doesn't just change your intimate encounters, it transforms your entire relationship dynamic and elevates you into a category of man that most women encounter maybe once in their lifetime, if they're lucky. Every bedroom becomes a stage where elaborate performances unfold nightly. She's learned to orchestrate your satisfaction while sacrificing her own authentic experience. This isn't deception. It's survival strategy developed through years of encountering men who mistake physical completion for emotional fulfillment. You rush toward the finish line like a sprinter, focused solely on breaking the tape, missing every opportunity to savor the journey. She wants you to slow down, to recognize that intimacy operates on geological time rather than microwave speed. But asking you to decelerate feels like criticizing your masculinity, so she adapts to your tempo while longing for something entirely different. The woman craves the luxury of gradual unveiling, the intoxication of anticipation stretched until it becomes almost unbearable. She wants each article of clothing removed like unwrapping a precious gift, with reverence and appreciation for what's being revealed. Not stripped away in urgent efficiency, but peeled back layer by layer while you drink in every newly exposed inch of skin. This creates a fundamental disconnect between what's happening and what she's experiencing. You're participating in a physical event. She's yearning for an emotional ceremony. You're completing a transaction. She's seeking transformation. The gap between these experiences explains why so many relationships feel sexually successful on the surface while remaining emotionally bankrupt underneath. The most dangerous part of this performance dynamic is how it perpetuates itself. When she fakes satisfaction to protect your ego, you never learn what actually pleases her. When she adapts to your rushed timing to avoid conflict, you never discover the pleasure that comes from extended exploration. This creates a feedback loop where both of you become trapped in increasingly hollow encounters that satisfy neither party but feel too risky to change. In your mind, actions speak louder than words, so you focus on technique while remaining verbally silent. But her arousal lives in her ears as much as her body. She's starving for the soundtrack that transforms physical touch into emotional connection. She wants to hear what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're discovering about her in real time. The woman doesn't just want to be touched, she wants to be narrated. She craves the play-by-play commentary that makes her feel like the star of your personal fantasy, rather than just a participant in routine physical maintenance. When you remain silent, she interprets your quietness as disengagement, evidence that you're going through motions rather than losing yourself in the experience. She wants descriptive appreciation that goes beyond generic compliments, not just "you're beautiful," but specific observations about the curve of her waist, the way her breathing changes, the particular expression that crosses her face during specific moments. She wants evidence that you're truly present, truly observing, truly absorbed in the unique details that make this encounter different from every other intimate experience you've had. This verbal dimension creates the emotional framework that transforms physical pleasure into psychological satisfaction. Without it, even the most technically proficient encounter feels hollow. With it, even simple touches become electric with meaning and connection. The sophisticated woman wants to hear your genuine reactions, not rehearsed compliments. She can detect the difference between authentic appreciation and generic flattery within seconds. She wants to know what specific aspects of her body, her responses, her expressions affect you most powerfully. This detailed verbal feedback creates intimacy that transcends physical sensation and enters the realm of emotional fusion. Physical foreplay begins hours before any clothes come off. She wants to feel desired throughout the day, not just when you're ready for physical intimacy. The texts, the glances, the casual touches during regular activities, these create the emotional foundation that makes physical touch feel like continuation rather than interruption. She craves the building anticipation that transforms ordinary moments into erotic preview. When you touch her lower back while she's cooking dinner, when you whisper something suggestive while you're watching television, when you send her a message that makes her think about what's coming later. These moments prime her emotional arousal system in ways that no physical technique can replicate. But the real secret lies in understanding her body's hidden landscape. Most men approach female anatomy like tourists visiting famous landmarks, hitting the obvious attractions while missing the hidden treasures that locals cherish most. Her neck holds more erotic potential than you realize. The space behind her ears contains nerve endings that connect directly to her emotional center. Her ankles become electric under the right attention. The inside of her wrists, when kissed with genuine appreciation, can generate more authentic arousal than the obvious targets you've been trained to prioritize. She wants you to become an explorer rather than a mechanical operator, to discover rather than just stimulate, to map her unique landscape rather than applying generic techniques you learned from previous encounters or entertainment sources. Every woman's geography is different, and she wants you to be curious enough to learn her specific topography. The exploration process itself becomes foreplay. When you spend time discovering which touches make her breath catch, which kisses make her arch toward you, which whispered words make her pulse quicken. This investigation creates anticipation that builds throughout the encounter. She wants to feel studied, learned, mastered in the most intimate ways possible. She's been taught that wanting dominance makes her aggressive, while wanting submission makes her weak. This leaves her trapped in a narrow band of acceptable desires, unable to express the full spectrum of what actually excites her. She wants you to understand that her sexuality contains multitudes, moments when she craves surrender, and moments when she needs to take command. Sometimes she wants to feel deliciously overpowered, her wrists held gently but firmly, while waves of sensation wash over her without any responsibility to reciprocate or perform. She fantasizes about being desired so intensely that you can't help but take charge, creating the kind of passionate urgency that makes her feel irresistibly wanted. Not aggression, but assertion. Not force, but confident leadership that allows her to surrender completely without feeling unsafe. Other times she wants to orchestrate the entire encounter, to be the director rather than just the star of your intimate theatre. She wants to push you down and explore your body with the same intensity you bring to hers. She wants to control the pace, the sequence, the intensity, while you surrender to her exploration. Both desires can coexist in the same woman, sometimes in the same evening. The key lies in recognizing these shifting needs without requiring her to explicitly request what she wants. She shouldn't have to negotiate for variety or ask permission to express different aspects of her sexuality. You need to develop the sensitivity to read her cues and the confidence to offer different experiences without making her feel like she's asking for something abnormal. The woman who feels free to express both sides of her sexual nature becomes exponentially more passionate and engaged. When she knows she can be both soft and fierce, both submissive and dominant, both gentle and intense, her entire erotic personality expands. This freedom transforms her from a passive participant into an active collaborator in creating extraordinary experiences. Routine is the assassin of arousal, and location routine kills passion faster than any other factor. She doesn't just tolerate novelty, she requires it for her sexuality to remain alive and engaged. The same bedroom, the same sequence, the same techniques create a sexual prison that slowly suffocates her authentic desire while maintaining the appearance of regular intimacy. She fantasizes about encounters that break free from bedroom boundaries. The kitchen counter where breakfast happens becomes a stage for morning passion. The living room couch transforms from television watching spot into exploration territory. The shower evolves from cleaning space into sensual playground. Even the hallway becomes potential for spontaneous connection that makes her feel pursued rather than scheduled. This geographic variety sends powerful psychological messages. When you initiate intimacy in unexpected locations, You're demonstrating that your desire for her overrides convenience and routine. You're proving that she affects you so powerfully that you can't wait for appropriate timing and perfect circumstances. This spontaneity makes her feel irresistibly attractive rather than just conveniently available. The woman wants evidence that you're still discovering her, still finding new ways to create pleasure, still invested enough in her satisfaction to innovate rather than just repeat. When you introduce variation, you're sending the message that she's worth continued exploration, continued investment of creative energy. Location changes also create different psychological contexts that unlock different aspects of her personality. The woman who feels conservative in the bedroom might feel adventurous in the living room. The woman who seems passive in familiar surroundings might become aggressive in novel environments. Each new location gives her permission to explore different facets of her sexuality. She's curious about accessories and enhancements, but feels unable to suggest them without seeming inadequate or overly aggressive. The woman wants you to take responsibility for introducing variety rather than making her request what she needs. This protects her from feeling like she's criticizing your current performance, while opening doors to experiences she's curious about but afraid to initiate. She fantasizes about silk ties that transform from wardrobe accessories into instruments of playful control, about blindfolds that heighten every other sensation by removing sight, about massage oils that turn simple touching into luxurious exploration, about toys and tools that amplify pleasure rather than replace connection. But she wants you to introduce these elements as natural extensions of your desire to please her, not as evidence that she's insufficient on her own. The key lies in framing enhancement as exploration rather than correction. When you introduce something new, you're demonstrating continued investment in her pleasure, rather than suggesting that previous encounters were insufficient. She wants to feel like you're so committed to her satisfaction that you actively seek new ways to increase her enjoyment. This requires reading her responses and gradually expanding what's possible between you without making her feel like she's participating in someone else's fantasy, rather than exploring her own desires. The right approach makes her feel more interesting and desirable. The wrong approach makes her feel like she's not enough on her own. The introduction of enhancement tools also signals sophisticated understanding of female pleasure. You're demonstrating knowledge that her satisfaction might require different approaches than male satisfaction. This awareness alone makes her feel understood in ways that most men never achieve. She wants a partner who treats her. Married women carry a special burden of sexual expectation management. They're supposed to maintain consistent availability while accepting increasingly predictable encounters. The woman who once felt sexy and desired slowly transforms into a domestic appliance, expected to provide regular service without requiring much maintenance or innovation. She wants to feel young again, not because she's unsatisfied with her age, but because she misses feeling like someone worth pursuing rather than someone who's already been caught. The thrill of being wanted, the excitement of anticipation, the sense that her sexuality is still mysterious and worth exploring, these feelings fade in marriages that treat intimacy like scheduled maintenance. The married woman fantasizes about feeling desired rather than just convenient. She wants evidence that you still choose her rather than just accept her availability. She craves encounters that make her feel like she's being seduced rather than just serviced. This requires conscious effort to recreate the pursuit dynamics that created attraction in the first place. Small gestures throughout the day become disproportionately important because they signal that she's still worth pursuing. Hand-holding while walking through the grocery store, unexpected kisses while she's folding laundry, moments of physical affection that aren't prelude to sexual encounters, but expressions of ongoing desire. These prove that your interest in her extends beyond scheduled intimate appointments. She wants to rediscover the version of herself that felt vibrant and sexually alive. The woman who felt confident in her desirability, who believed her sexuality was a gift worth giving rather than a duty to perform. Marriage often buries this version under layers of routine and responsibility, but she's still there, waiting to be awakened by a man who treats her like a treasure rather than a possession. The married woman craves evidence that she still has the power to affect you, the way she did when you first met. She wants to see desire in your eyes that goes beyond habit or convenience. She wants to feel like choosing her over all other options rather than just accepting the option that's most readily available. Most men underestimate the power of sustained visual connection during intimate moments. You focus on physical technique while missing the emotional highway that runs directly through her eyes. She wants you to see her, really see her, during the moments when she's most vulnerable and most alive. Eye contact during intimacy creates psychological intensity that amplifies every physical sensation. When you look into her eyes while touching her, you're not just stimulating her body, you're penetrating her emotional defenses and creating soul-level connection. This visual intimacy makes her feel truly known rather than just physically satisfied. She wants to watch your reactions to her responses. She wants to see the effect she has on you reflected in your eyes. This visual feedback loop creates mutual vulnerability that transforms mechanical encounters into emotional experiences. When you maintain eye contact, you're proving that you're present with her rather than lost in your own sensations. But this requires courage from both of you. Eye contact during intimacy demands authenticity that many people find terrifying. She wants a man confident enough to be seen while seeing her, brave enough to maintain connection even during the most intense moments of vulnerability. The eyes become windows into authentic pleasure versus performed pleasure. When she knows you're watching her genuine reactions, she feels permission to express authentic responses rather than manufactured ones. This creates a cascade of honesty that transforms the entire encounter from performance into genuine exchange. The sophisticated woman wants a man who understands the subtle rhythms of arousal and response. Most men operate like digital switches, on or off, fast or slow, intense or gentle. But female arousal operates more like analog waves with constantly shifting peaks and valleys that require adaptive intelligence to navigate successfully. She wants you to recognize when she needs building intensity versus when she needs maintained sensation, when she requires focused attention versus when she craves varied stimulation, when she's ready for more versus when she needs time to process current sensations. This timing intelligence transforms you from someone applying techniques to someone conducting a symphony. The woman experiences different types of arousal at different times. Sometimes she wants slow building anticipation. Other times she craves immediate intensity. Sometimes she needs emotional connection before physical touch. Other times physical sensation opens her to emotional vulnerability. Reading these needs in real time requires attention and intelligence that most men never develop. This timing awareness extends beyond technique into understanding her emotional rhythms throughout your relationship, recognizing when she needs pursuit versus when she needs space, when she wants to feel desired versus when she wants to feel secure, when she craves novelty versus when she needs comfort and familiarity. The moments immediately following physical climax reveal everything about your true intentions and understanding. Most men treat completion as conclusion, rolling away to check phones or fall asleep, missing the opportunity to cement the emotional bonds that make physical intimacy satisfying for women. She wants continued connection when her defenses are completely down and her emotional receptivity is at its peak. This isn't neediness, it's biology. Her nervous system requires transition time to process the vulnerability she's just experienced and the connection she's just shared. Immediate withdrawal feels like abandonment precisely when she's most open to bonding. The woman craves conversation that acknowledges what just happened between you. Not necessarily deep analysis, but recognition that you shared something meaningful rather than just completed a physical task. She wants to hear how the experience affected you, what you noticed about her, how you're feeling in the aftermath. She wants physical affection that continues beyond climax, gentle touching that soothes rather than stimulates. Holding that creates safety and vulnerability. Kissing that expresses tenderness rather than passion. These gestures prove that your interest in her extends beyond your own satisfaction. This post-intimacy attention creates the emotional satisfaction that makes her crave future encounters rather than just tolerate them. When you maintain connection after physical completion, you're demonstrating that she matters to you as a complete person, rather than just a source of physical release. The afterglow period becomes crucial for emotional bonding. She wants to feel cherished rather than used, valued rather than depleted, connected rather than isolated. This requires conscious attention to her emotional state and deliberate effort to maintain intimacy beyond physical completion. The most sophisticated women often have the most complex relationship with their own desires. They've been educated to suppress certain wants while amplifying others, creating internal conflict about what they're allowed to enjoy. She needs you to create permission structures that allow her authentic sexuality to emerge without her feeling like she's violating social expectations. This means reading between the lines of what she says and responding to what she actually wants, rather than just what she explicitly requests. The woman who says she wants gentle treatment might be craving something more intense but feels unable to ask for it directly. The woman who seems passive might be dying to take control but needs encouragement to express that desire. Your role becomes creating safe space for her to explore aspects of her sexuality that she's been taught to hide or deny. This requires exceptional emotional intelligence and the ability to distinguish between what she thinks she should want and what actually excites her nervous system. She wants permission to be multifaceted in her desires, to want both gentleness and intensity, to crave both leading and following, to need both emotional connection and pure physical pleasure. Most men try to categorize women into simple types, but she wants someone sophisticated enough to appreciate her complexity. The permission-granting process requires patience and observation. You must learn to recognize the difference between her expressed preferences and her suppressed desires, between what she thinks she should want and what actually creates authentic arousal. This psychological sophistication separates masters from amateurs in the field of intimate connection. Understanding these secrets transforms you from just another sexual partner into someone who provides experiences she can't get anywhere else. You become the man who actually sees her sexuality, rather than just projects onto it. The man who creates space for her authentic desires, rather than just satisfying his own needs. This knowledge makes you irreplaceable in ways that physical appearance or generic charm cannot match. When a woman feels truly understood and accepted in her sexuality, she develops loyalty that transcends typical relationship dynamics. She's not just attracted to you, she's addicted to how you make her feel about herself. The transformation extends beyond the bedroom into every aspect of your relationship. When she feels sexually satisfied and emotionally connected, she becomes more affectionate, more supportive, more invested in your success and happiness. Sexual fulfillment creates positive feedback loops that strengthen every other aspect of your partnership. Most men will never understand these dynamics because they require abandoning ego in favor of genuine curiosity about female experience. They demand developing emotional intelligence alongside physical technique. They necessitate caring more about her satisfaction than your own performance metrics. The woman who feels completely seen and satisfied becomes your greatest ally. She doesn't just love you, she becomes invested in your success because you've proven that her fulfillment matters to you. This creates relationships that transcend typical romantic partnerships and become lifelong collaborations in each other's continued growth and satisfaction. When you master these principles, you create a woman who feels truly known for the first time in her life. Someone who has experienced intimacy that goes beyond physical pleasure into psychological transformation. Someone who has discovered aspects of her own sexuality that she never knew existed. This level of sexual and emotional education makes you unforgettable and irreplaceable. If this analysis of hidden female desires has opened your eyes to how much you've been missing, subscribe to this channel for more insights into the psychology that governs intimate relationships. Hit that notification bell because understanding these patterns will revolutionize not just your bedroom experiences, but your entire approach to female psychology. Share this video with any man who's ready to graduate from basic physical competence to advanced emotional and sexual intelligence. The secrets I've revealed today represent years of psychological research and real-world observation. They're the difference between men who satisfy women physically and men who fulfill them completely. Between partners who provide pleasure and partners who create transformation. Between encounters that women tolerate and experiences that women treasure. Master these principles, and you'll never again wonder why she seems distracted during intimacy, or why passion fades in long-term relationships. You'll understand the hidden psychology that drives authentic female desire and possess the tools to awaken her deepest levels of satisfaction and connection.